Hey guys, my name is Ross, and in the last 6 months, I went from 237 pounds to 173 pounds. Now, I'm not trying to sell anything, this isn't a course, but I have had a ton of people reach out to me online because they've seen my journey. I own a software company, so people see me online and they've seen this drastic change and they're wondering, Ross, how did you do this? Because there's a lot of entrepreneurs and people out there working from home, working from a computer where we have, you could say, a very inactive lifestyle, or we can if we're not careful, and it's easy to put on weight. But I thought, you know what? I'm just going to make a video, and I can't do it all just in one video because it'll take too much. So I'm going to make a series of 2 to 3 videos here showing you exactly what I did. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I do have a free little group that I made just where we keep each other accountable. It's on Facebook. It's in Messenger. If you want to join that, you're welcome. There's no place to go. Just reach out to me on Facebook and say, hey, I'd like to get into the Get Fit group. And hopefully we'll have fun with it. There's going to be people who judge it. There's people who don't like what I did, the style and the method I did, and that's totally fine. But I'm going to put it all out there so you guys can see it. So here's the thing that for me was a wake-up moment. April 7th of this year. It's our baby shower, third baby on the way. And I'm doing the math and I'm thinking, man, by the time this girl turns 18, I'm going to be in my 50s. Now, this photo that I showed earlier that you can see right here, this was on April 7th. I was huge. I was swollen. I was uncomfortable. And here's what my diet and my lifestyle and my health looked like right about then. Because on the surface, I didn't think anything of it. It was so driven by dopamine and sugars and things like that. I would wake up in the morning. I'd run to, we call it a Quick Trip. It's a gas station right here in Wisconsin. Run to the Quick Trip and I would get myself one of those little double shot Starbucks espresso drinks. And usually there would be like a donut that was sitting out that looked great. And it's like, okay, well, that'd be my breakfast. I'd grab a donut and one of those little coffees. And then I'd think, oh, I'm going to burn it off while I go golf. So I'd maybe go golf some holes. And then I'd be working for the rest of the day, probably at like Starbucks, where I'd have a cold brew that's got the cold foam and some sweetener in it. And I might have a sandwich while I was there. And then I'd come home, eat whatever we had here at the house, and, you know, probably some sort of a little sweet afterwards. And when I add it all up and I factor it all in, I was probably in a surplus for the day on calories of about 300 to 500 calories a day. That was like my average day. On the weekends, I would have bourbon. So I'd have, I was never a weekday drinker, but on the weekends, I would have at least 2 to 4 bourbons total. I personally would like my Woodford Reserve Double Oaked, which I totally quit drinking. Haven't had a sip of alcohol in months now. Don't regret it. And, you know, with that comes more snacking, late night snacking, things like that. And before you know it, it adds up. And the problem is I had done diets before. So I'll give you an example. When I first got married, I weighed 211 pounds. Shortly after that, my wife and I both went vegan. I lost a ton of weight, gained it all back when we stopped. And I'll go deeper into that I think it's going to be video number 2, could be video number 3, because it plays into how I did this too and why I truly believe this is a long-term change for me, because I understand the science of it now. But I gained it all back. About 2 or 3 years ago, I lost a ton of weight on keto, and I was actually doing really good with it. But one of the basis in my diets, one of the crutches, the things that kept me feeling at least satisfied, was almond flour. It gave me that crunch, that feeling of breads, and I developed an almond allergy. And all of a sudden, like, if I had anything with almond, I'd start throwing up. I couldn't do it. It threw me for a loop. I gained all that weight back. And I had watched my parents their whole life try diets, lose some weight, and gain it all back. And so I thought, well, maybe it's just bad genetics. Maybe I just am going to be fat. And I just started researching and digging in. And here's what I found. One of the number one reasons why I was struggling to lose weight was that I was extremely insulin resistant. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I'm going to try to explain to you in the dumb guy way what it means to be insulin resistant. It means that your cells are not properly responding to insulin. So when you eat something that's got carbs, your body takes that and tries to use insulin to shuttle glycogen to your cells, to your liver, to your muscles, etc. And if your cells are insulin resistant, what happens is they think they're full. They think they don't need anymore. So they say, no, 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 we don't need anymore. So then your body's like tries to overproduce insulin. And then what ends up happening is it gets stored as fatty acids or triglycerides, and you start building up what's called visceral fat, and you start getting a ton of visceral fat. And the problem is this is a vicious cycle, because guess what? The more visceral fat you have, the more insulin resistant you become, and the more inflammation that your body ends up seeing. And that is why you can have one person who goes into a 500 calorie deficit who is not insulin resistant, and they start losing fat pretty quickly. And then you can have another person go 500 calorie deficit, and although they will eventually lose fat, it's much, much harder for them because insulin blocks the fat stores from wanting to release. And then what ends up happening is that your body looks for alternative means for energy. So it'll say, hey, we need to eat more. It'll spike your hunger, or it'll break down muscle, lean tissue to try to get that. And it's just much more hard. It doesn't mean it's impossible. It's just much more difficult. So when I realized that I was insulin resistant, I started researching things. And there are tools like things that you can take like berberine and things like this to be able to help. But everything online said that the most potent, strong way to become insulin sensitive again is through GLP-1 agonists. Now, before you turn the video off here, I know immediately you're thinking like Ozempic, Wegovy, these kinds of things. And I was super against any of these things initially. And then I asked myself, why? What is the turnoff from them? Well, from what I've seen of people taking a GLP-1 agonist, doesn't matter which one they would take, they could lose a ton of weight. It seemed like when they would go off of it, they would gain it all back. And studies show that most people who go on one, and then they go off of it, they immediately start gaining it back. And so that put a negative thought in my head right away. But also, I'll be honest, I had this feeling like it was less honorable to lose weight through a GLP-1 agonist, almost like something that people should be ashamed of. And like I said, this is right around the time that my wife was having our third child. And I remember she was thinking about having the baby naturally without taking any epidural. My first child, she pretty much did it naturally. She did take an epidural, but after enduring a ton of pain. The second child, she did take an epidural, but it only worked on half of her body for some reason. In my opinion, it was like, why would we not use, and this is what I said to her, if there's technology that exists to make this birthing experience more enjoyable, why would we not take it if there's not any drastically terrible side effects to it? And this was my take. Now, I'm not trying to be an advocate for epidural, but that logic applies to this as well, if you do things right. So I didn't just start taking it. I started thinking this through and trying to really dive into why this has not been working for people, why they lose weight, why they get it back, etc. And by the way, I'm not on it anymore. I don't take a GLP-1 agonist anymore, and I've still continued to lose body fat and build muscle since, and I'm going to be explaining how I've been able to continue doing that, but it's because I started this with the right mindset and what I was doing. And so I would say if anyone's ashamed or thinks less of a GLP-1 agonist, it has nothing to do, it shouldn't be something to be ashameful, because we're going to break down what it actually does for you in a minute if you actually understand the science behind it. And then I'll explain what they should be ashamed of if this is what they're planning on doing. But that same logic applies. An epidural. You wouldn't say to a woman, oh, that shot had the baby for you, so you don't really know what it's like to give birth. No, I mean, I watched my wife pushing a baby out, even with an epidural in her system. The shot didn't do it for her. She still had to do it. It just changed the experience. Its technology has gotten good enough to where you can take away some of the pains. So now let's real quick go back to this insulin resistance so I can tie all this together. When your body when you're insulin resistant, what ends up happening is your hunger spikes because since your body is needing more fuel because it's saying, hey, I'm hungry, I need energy, I'm holding on to fat stores, and it's because it's not using those fat stores for fuel, you start getting hungry, things start spiking. And so when you take a GLP-1 agonist, it does a few things. First thing it does do is it regulates your insulin. Got to keep in mind, this started off as a drug approved by the FDA for diabetes. So it helps regulate people's blood sugar, helps them with their insulin. So the second you start taking it, your insulin almost becomes like a regular person's again. Like you start taking it once you get on the therapeutic dose and you become insulin sensitive again, even though you still got that visceral fat. So one of these uphill battles that you've been climbing just got removed from you, and now you start having a fighting chance. The second thing that it does do is that it will, it slows your gastric emptying. I'm just going to put gastric emptying. And what this does is it means that things are moving through you slower, so you will feel fuller longer. Now, with this does come some appetite suppression. Actually, quite a bit of appetite suppression. And I think that this is why some people have a bad rap with this, because they think, I fought through that. I had the discipline. I had the self-control. Here's what you need to know about this. Self-control or not, a lot of appetite suppression and discipline, it has to do with our dopamine levels. And things like a GLP-1 agonist, they dull your dopamine sensors. And I'll give you an example by looking at my son. He is, let's say we go out and have a steak dinner and they bring out dinner rolls. As he's eating his roll, his dopamine is firing off so strong that he's not even thinking about the good roll that's in his mouth. He's thinking about the next one, and he's counting. He's like, there's 5 people here and there's only 3 rolls. He's already reaching out, grabbing more because of his dopamine receptors. It's the same reason why when I would walk through that gas station, it was like that donut was calling me. It was my dopamine was firing. So when you dull all of these things, it's almost like the ultimate reset for you. It allows you to desensitize yourself. In fact, they have found that people who take Zepbounds or Tirzepatides, any sort of a GLP-1 agonist, it can help them to quit if they had alcoholism in their life. It helps them with cigarettes and things like that because it helps remove these addictions. So it can give you the ultimate reset. But here's the problem, and here's where people go wrong with it, is that because they have such an appetite suppression, they get into a huge calorie deficit. And when they get into this massive calorie deficit, they not only lose fat mass, they lose muscle mass. And they don't even know it because their hunger signals are dulled, everything's dulled. They just know, hey, I'm not hungry and I'm losing weight. And they're looking at the top line of the scale. That is why they gain their weight back. Because when you get into a huge calorie deficit, let's say like right now, I weigh 173 pounds. Let's say that with my activity level that I'm burning 3,000 calories a day. And that's possible because of the amount of weightlifting I do. At 3,000 calories a day, which I'm going to get into all the other stuff, why I believe I should say I'm not going to gain it back and all of this stuff. 3,000 calories a day. If I were to drop my calorie deficit down to only eating 1,000 a day, what do you think would happen? Well, I would lose a ton of weight, but my body is going to say, hey, he's got to survive. And if we keep burning 3,000 calories a day and it starts doing the math and saying this isn't going to work, it's going to down cycle. And my body is now only going to start burning 1,000 calories a day. I'm going to change my maintenance calories, or at least close to it. And then what happens is the day I say, hey, you know what? I'm at the right BMI, I feel good, whatever, and I go off of it, What will then end up happening would be your hunger signals would spike back. You would get what they call food noise, where you get this ravaging hunger. You'd get super hungry again. And now, even if you just start eating at a maintenance calorie, like of what someone your weight should be, like even if you just start eating 2,500 calories a day, you're now in a 1,500 calorie a day surplus because your body is not burning the calories that it once was, and you are going to gain that weight back. Not only all of it back, but you're likely going to gain more back because you have wrecked your metabolism and you have screwed your body up so drastically that you're toast. And that is one of the number one reasons why a GLP-1 agonist gets such a bad rap. If you look at the studies of people who take it, these are people who really, not all of them, some of them changed their lifestyles, and so I'm in threads. Some of them have gone on when they get off of it to do really, really good. But these, I'm going to talk about commonalities in the next video that all of these people did, but a lot of them just once a week, taking their jab, they lose their weight, and then that's it. I don't take a maintenance dose. I don't need any of that because I've totally changed my life by going through doing this the way that I did. So now here's what my day looks like. I wake up and right out of the gate, I don't need to fast or anything like that. I'll break down some of these different myths in another video. I think fasting's great for the right purposes, but for weight loss, fat loss, you don't need to fast. I have right out of the gate, I make myself a light protein smoothie with a pre-workout in the morning. I go hit the gym. I do resistance training for about an hour. I do level 1, 2 light cardio. You know, I'm talking like 3.5 miles per hour for 30 minutes to an hour every day with my normal activity. I'm around 12,000 steps a day. And I finish my workout by going and having some sort of a nice carb protein mix. You need carbs in your life when you're not insulin resistant. If you are resistant training, you need it to refill your muscles with glycogen. By the end of the day, I'm ready for a nice dinner. I might have a little snack in between then. I'll have some sort of protein with, I don't go carb heavy at night, but a protein and a veggie. And sometimes I'll top it off with another little protein smoothie or like a protein ice cream. And all in all for the day, I'm right around 1,900, 2,000 calories in that realm. I'm still in a calorie deficit because I have a personal goal right now to get down to about 14-15% body fat while continuing to build muscle. So I'm doing this recomposition thing. I've got creatine in my diet. I've got a plethora of supplements and things like that. But I've totally changed my life and my diet. Everything. I'm in a trajectory where it's like this has become me, my identity. This is who I am. And I don't want to go back. I don't drink alcohol. I don't want to go back to these things because I remember what those did for me. But here's something that aggravates me. And I'll address this in the next video. But some people will say, yeah, but the second you quit maintaining all this, you're going to gain it back. Well, duh. Are you an idiot? What I was doing caused me to gain that in the first place. The behavioral my behaviors, my patterns, all of these things is what caused me to get fat in the first place. So it does not take a rocket science to say, hey, if I go back to living the way I was living, I'm going to get fat. That is why if you're going to do something like this, it's a means to an end. It is a tool to help you get somewhere, become insulin sensitive again, to be able to help you to rewire your brain with the dopamine. I don't even care about the appetite suppression. Like, we're going to talk about this on the next video. This is actually, in my opinion, the hardest part about it. Because you have to force yourself to eat enough calories so that way you don't kill your metabolism. If you could just get rid of the slowed gastric emptying and the appetite suppression and just keep this insulin sensitivity and the dopamine wear off, oh my gosh, that would be the perfect thing. Unfortunately, they don't do that. They cover multiple facets of it. I think that appetite suppression actually is hurting most people, and that's why they're gaining it back. So with that said, if you liked this video, do me a favor. This is a brand new channel. I'm out in my camper filming this because it's too loud in my house with my kids. I don't even know how long I'll continue doing this. This is a fun thing for me. It's a passion project. I'm actually going through all the certifications to become a certified personal trainer. Not even sure if I'm going to do anything with it. I just want to know that I'm doing things, you know, scientifically and not fad based. And so if you like this, please subscribe. I'm going to keep making videos at my leisure of fun things that I'm doing and things that are helping me. And so in this next video, what I'm going to do is talk about, okay, let's say you're like, you know what? This makes sense. Maybe GLP-1 agonists are not the devil. Maybe I don't know why I've had such a negative understanding. Maybe I just was ignorant to what they actually did. Or maybe I see people losing weight and then gaining it back, but I didn't realize that there was actually a right way and a wrong way to do it, and that 95% of people are doing it the wrong way. It's not a real stat, by the way, but I'm just telling you, based off the Reddit thread that I'm in Zepbound, I can clearly see most people are doing it the wrong way. So if maybe that's you and you're thinking maybe this isn't so bad, maybe technology can help you get healthy again, the next video you're going to join. The next video I'm going to title The Right Way to Do a GLP-1 Agonist.